So by some weird coincidence, like a week or so ago in one of my videos, I do remember saying something about how they don't have the Psionics Handbook for AD&D available in print on Drive-Thru RPG. And by some weird coincidence, like a day or so later, Amazon's all like, hey, look what we found. It's a used copy of the complete Psionics Handbook. Whoa. How strange of us to just happen to randomly bring that to your attention, eh? Anyway, though, apparently this comes from like a Goodwill in Illinois or something. But it is an actual original copy of the Psionics Handbook, which I'm not exactly sure why they don't have a print version available still to get a newer one. I think it might be something to do with the cover, but, you know, they have print versions of the Sages and Specialists book, and that just was a blue cover version of this. I think they also have one of the other blue books, like maybe the one about like monster races or something. I don't know. I'd have to go back and double check that one. But anyway, the whole reason I wanted this isn't because of any fond memories of it. I think I remember looking through this book once a long time ago when I was a teenager, back when I wasn't really all that into D&D. But however, if I ever want to make any use of the wonderful Dark Sun setting from this reprint of the original box set as a large, thick tome, you kind of need the Psionics Handbook. Dark Sun is so heavily modded. I mean, it's not just a setting. It's like this whole mod package that is dumped on top of AD&D that it doesn't really translate well to the other editions of D&D. Like, trying to make this into a 4th edition setting, they had to put out different books. Trying to make it to a 5th edition setting, you'd have to do a lot of homework to figure out what exactly you're placing psionics with and how you're going to distribute that to all the characters. You could possibly, you know, easily translate over you're rolling 5 die 4 instead of 3 die 6 for your ability scores and all that, but I don't know, there's so many things that are unique about the Dark Sun experience beyond just the setting in and of itself. Like, the characters themselves are changed and are more harsher and overloaded. It's in some ways it's kind of akin to Rifts in that way. You don't want Dark Sun characters, you know, doing any plane traveling and popping up in other worlds because suddenly they're like way too powerful for their relative, level. You know, like in perspective, like one of the things I probably, dislike the most about it is that they go ahead and jump you up to 3rd level. I don't see any reason why not to go ahead and start off at 1st level. It's on you as the game master, dungeon master, who's, writing the scenarios that your players will encounter right off the bat to help them get their first few levels under them. It's up to you not to like overstock it with stuff that's going to rip their head off, so. I don't really see why you can't have 1st level adventure in Dark Sun, but in either case, that's a fairly small little nitpick. It's just like I said, it would take so much homework to have to translate the actual feel of the play. You could do the setting with 5th edition easily enough, but with the different character design, the different character ethic. You're not actually going to get the same experience. It'll be softer, cuddlier 5th edition characters roaming around this harsh background setting. If you actually want the characters to fit the world, you kind of need the rules that this goes with. And so, with maybe the only other exception being like Council of Worms, this setting right here is one of the main reasons to go dig up and get copies of the old 2nd edition AD&D rule books. And also, though, unfortunately, you'll need this too, because this is a psionics dependent setting, and despite the fact that no, these aren't the most perfect psionics rules in the world, after I spent like an hour kind of giving it a good thorough skimming last night, and I think maybe they're remembered as being worse than they are on some level too, in kind of the same way people kind of have like this memory of Thaco being a much more terrible process to have to deal with than what it actually is. I don't know, like Psionicist itself, I do notice that as much as they try to like make 5th edition kind of a best of, variety pack of different classes, reminiscent at the bare minimum of classes throughout D&D's lineage that, you know, they did leave Psionicist out. They haven't even brought them in any of the side books. They did bring us Artificers, though. Anyway, though, I posted a picture of it on Twitter, and for some reason, it's like blown up overnight, at least by my scale on Twitter. I mean, I noticed some people getting like 20 likes isn't that big of a deal, but for me, it's like, whoa, what the fuck? This plain ass fucking thing. I mean, is there a point to reviewing this? If you can't even go out and buy a copy without having to look around and find either an old used one, or you can only get the PDF. I do think they do have the PDF at least on drive-through. But if you're like me and like, you know, part of your own personal, you know, rules of the game is that, you know, if you don't have the print copy of the book, it doesn't exist. Kind of a philosophy that GMs like myself use. I guess that's the only choice if you ever want to use stuff like this. I mean, like I said, if you really want to do some homework, you can maybe convert Dark Sun over into 5th edition. The biggest problem is you know, pinpointing all the magic spells that also act as psionic spells, and then figuring it out. And it's like some of those aren't really level appropriate for lower level characters. As flawed as this might be, at least it gives a leveled system for psionic mastery. I don't know. In some ways it's a little reminiscent of what Palladium does, because it's got you know, psychic power points, and the way that, you know, Palladium has inner strength points to fuel psychic abilities, and you get a lot of them. Splitting it up between sciences and devotions. I mean, that's just kind of cosmetic to show like, oh, these are harder than these other ones or something like that. I don't know. It's not that big of a deal. It is not the best psionic system in the world, but, you know, what is. Anyway, I guess that's really about it. The complete Psionics Handbook. You can't have one because it only exists. This is the last copy in the world. Stay waspinated.